Now, the Food Standards Agency is exploring the way it regulates our food businesses. I'm Mike Stones for Food Manufacture at the Food Safety Conference, and I'm joined to learn more about this by John Barnes, former FSA Head of Local Authority Enforcement, now Food Safety Consultant with Enmore, to explore the Regulating Our Future initiative. John Barnes, what's prompting this review?
Well, I think the review is a genuine question. Have we got the best food safety control system and delivery system for the 21st century? It reflects that there's a concern about the sustainability of local authority resources and indeed regulatory resources in general. But it also is an acknowledgement that industries doing an awful lot of investment in food safety itself, and there's probably a way in which the two can work better together than they have done previously.
So it's not solely an attempt to cut costs then?
It's certainly not an attempt to cut costs. Clearly there's a view that are there savings to be made, or are the resources that they're currently spending actually being spent in the right areas? But what they want is an agile delivery system that's actually able to respond to changing circumstances, for example exiting the EU, and changing risks, for example antimicrobial resistance and things like that that probably aren't dealt with as well with the current control system.
What will it mean for manufacturers?
Well, I think for manufacturers, they need to be alive to the discussions that are going on and the changes that might come about. One of the big changes that's being looked at is more use of third-party assurance data. So in effect, if businesses are compliant, they've got very good food safety management systems in place, perhaps there's a view that the agency or the local authority regulators could see where there are gaps and where there are risks, rather than try and replicate or duplicate the controls that industry have got. So it's about recognising what industry is doing, verifying and checking, yes, but focusing their resources to the best effect.
Is that what people mean when they talk about earned recognition?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's got a number of different names, and the issue there is it's not self-regulation, because nobody wants that, including the industry. They need the consumer to be confident in what they're doing, and it's regulated in terms of there will be verification. There's still a role for a strong regulator and local authorities to check that the industry is doing its job and that they're taking proper responsibility for food safety. But if they're able to demonstrate that to the regulator, then the regulator can focus its resources on the areas where actually they're going to have a much better effect.
So what could the benefits be for manufacturers?
Well, the benefits for manufacturers is that to some extent they've got more control over their destiny, but also if there's sharing of data, then there's a lot more protection in a co-regulated model for the industry in general. So it's about trying to make some of this information pre-competitive, so that the industry in the UK can be protected against all sorts of problems and risks that might be going on across the globe. But importantly, it's about having a strong and robust system, because as we enter into the Brexit negotiations, and certainly when we come out beyond that, we need to make sure that as we have now, we've got a strong, mature food safety control system that remains the envy of the world and actually properly acknowledges the huge investment and expertise that the industry itself has with regard to food safety and other types of risks.
Now, as you mentioned, the Brexit timer is ticking. What's the timescale for regulating our future?
Well, the timescale, it's starting now. The discussions are going on now. I think for things such as massive changes to third-party assurance, I think that they would be fairly wary of making huge changes before the Brexit negotiations have concluded. You know, it's about making sure that our systems are robust. But clearly there'll be a lot of work going on to ensure that what we come out with is an agile system that's fit for the 21st century and that isn't primarily using local food inspection to regulate a global market and a global supply chain in food.
So, John Barnes, thank you very much for that view of regulating our future and the benefits it might bring for manufacturers. I'm Mike Stones for Food Manufacture at Food Manufacture's Food Safety Conference.